Oh, baby, we're back, but I'm faceless right now, so let me just fix this over here. If you haven't noticed already, we are actually also live simultaneously on Twitter here. I'm just kind of testing out this feature, and if all goes well, then I guess we can also do live streams on both YouTube and Twitter. I mean, why not? Why not? Why not? Twitter, very easily accessible for many people out there in the world, of course. And I just logged on to Twitter, and I see Mr. Pizzino. Half naked in a sauna. Beautiful, man. I was just in a sauna myself yesterday, that is, because we have one at our house, and I absolutely fucking love it. Anyways, plenty to talk about today because we do have the next monthly closure. I'll give some time for people to join in before we get into the actual analysis, but the new monthly and quarterly closure are now, well, they're now there. they're now on the charts. They're now in the charts. And so that is going to be the main that is going to be the main focus of today's analysis, and just kind of looking around what the major pivots are. What are the obvious areas that would indicate that Bitcoin is flipping around and going to be massively fucking bullish, and vice versa as well for the downside. Although we did go into great detail with that on yesterday's video, but repetition's always good, and there is a few points of hopium, especially with the way that the monthly closed. So I do want to be bringing up that as well, and going over the actionable pivots with that. Anyways, I see a lot of familiar faces in here. This is really fucking good, man. What's up, Sushi Yum Yums? I see El Satoshi, fuck her. Asti, Erica Krown, Crypto Cave. Nice one, Sushi Yum Yums. An OG at this point. Mig DS, YB, Tom Brines. There we go. Fucking nice, man. Long live the Genghis Krong. Yes, indeed. The Krong. Oh, God. Oh, God. Now, I hope I can actually see both of the comments from Twitter and YouTube in the same place over here. I don't know if that's actually working. But I do see that there are some people commenting on Twitter, so that's good. I'll keep up with my my Twitter tab here. Did I? I think I put in the wrong title for this video. This video seems to have the title 86,000. Wait, what's going on there? Hold on. This must just be for Twitter. Hopefully, let me just double check over here. Did YouTube get the right one? Hey, shut the fuck up! I hate that guy. All right, nice one. Okay, yes, we're good. We're good to go. It looks like I still have a few things to figure out regarding Twitter. But we'll get through that one a little bit later. Anyways, what's up, J3F and Lil Baller? Lil Baller, seen any good Polish movies lately? Polish movies? Not that I can think of, honestly. Why Poland? Why Poland? I don't know. Anyways, Hoy says, hey, Krown, how you doing? After the American Primeval discussion, have someone suggested 1883? I have seen that one somewhere around, so I can definitely add it to the list. I can confirm it's absolutely awesome. As a European, I can now better understand. Yeah, man, I don't know, recently I've been obsessed with that portion of history. It's just so crazy, like the lawlessness that was going on, and just people could get away with fucking anything, like murder someone, no problem, no problem. Rape someone, no problem. Murder and rape, no problem indeed. I mean, it was just fucking insane, like what could actually go on, and there were no repercussions at all. I mean, Jesus, I would have fucking hated to have lived during that time. Anyways, apparently Jay Pizzino is trans. Is he really? Well, that explains a lot. Why am I so attracted to him?
Do you remember what you were supposed to say?
Do I remember what I was supposed to say? Something about gay ass April Fools. I fucking hate April Fools, okay? I really do. I really fucking hate it. what would you like to say? Elsa feels like she needs to have a message here. I'm transitioning. Yes, that's right. I'm transitioning on April 1st. Anyways. Elsa's been learning Rapper's Delight from Sugar Hill Gang. She's absolutely obsessed with it. That's because she's a Europore and it's her first time hearing it. They just have no culture, okay? You can't blame them. Kidding, okay? I'm kidding. Look, I live in Finland. I fucking love Finland. It is what it is. And there we go. We have Filson as well, an OG at this point. Holy shit, man. Very, very good to see. Let me just double check over here on Twitter. I'll try to keep this one open because it doesn't look like it gets spit over to my main feed of where the comments are coming from. And I do want to kind of keep on track here. What's up, Steve Green Comedy? I have to check out that comedy a little bit later, man. I've been enjoying some Kill Tony recently. Anyways, Mr. Igini Musi on Twitter says, or X Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Sir Krown, I'm always here every day. Fucking nice, man. Would you recommend taking a small loan based on the hash ribbons at $79,000? No, I wouldn't. I would not. I would not suggest taking a highly risky thing off of something like that. Can it work out? Sure. But if you're, if you're not in a position to easily do that, which if you were, I think, you'd probably just have that liquidity as cash already, then I wouldn't fuck with that, man. It can go so poorly. And there is a real threat of Bitcoin and just all markets coming down significantly here. So, don't discount that, or at least that's what I have to say for right now. Now, if you come up with a nice plan, could you make that work? Maybe. You might take a loss, but at least it'll be an expected loss. And again, the same error to be managing, at least for quarter two, that I can, that I can see is the exact same thing that we've been looking at throughout all of fucking March, which is the March low from the 10th/11th of March, depending upon your exchange there. And as long as Bitcoin's above there is some hopium. There is certainly hopium abound, but it is certainly unverified, unconfirmed. Hash ribbons, I would not say are confirmed to play out until Bitcoin's above a very, very specific pivot, the same one to the upside actually that we've been speaking about for a while. Maybe you could move it down to like $91,000, but if you want to be, buy the book and conservative, then it'd be a little under $93,000. Again, that March 6th high right here. As long as Bitcoin's below there, it's still fucking risky, man. It's still fucking risky because what is it? It's a fucking downtrend. And well, are downtrends bullish? Obviously not. Obviously fucking not. Anyways, what's up, Diablo? Diablo on Twitter. Fuck yeah, man. This is good. This is good. I need to figure out a way to, oh, here we go. I think I figured out a way to get all of the chat in one area. Holy shit, it worked. Oh, that's awesome, man. Okay, nice. Okay, I'm learning something new every day. It's beautiful. All right, we'll give it another couple minutes, and then we'll get to the actual analysis of the day. I need to water up over here because I'm damn thirsty, man. This time change just completely fucked me up. I don't know what it is, but just 1 hour time difference between waking up and going to sleep is just it's like my whole brain is coming off of like some massive drug bender. It's terrible. I feel like I cannot do very simple things, very simple motor activities, especially in the early morning. It's like I'm tripping over everything. I'm fucking falling into everything. I feel completely redacted. It's crazy, man. Anyways, let's see. Nyan Heroes looks like the best game of the year. Only 1 million market. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, it's some crypto shitcoin. Nice. All right, sweet. Maybe we'll look at that a little bit later. Smash the like, says Matthew Smead. Always a good idea if you are interested in the content. Of course, if you do want to get updated on these things, then, well, you can like and subscribe, and it'll actually tell the algorithm to put it into your inbox each and every day. I love you as well, Ronnie Roland. Ultimate Team Dave says, hello, Krown, sir. Good morning, sir. Don't melt down, Krown. Yeah, man. Honestly, yesterday was a big struggle. I mean, shit, I recorded a whole video yesterday, but I forgot to hit record. And at the very end, I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually retarded. Like, I'm actually fucking retarded. This is good news for me, actually, because I was hoping I wasn't normal. Anyways, I'm going to get my my notes ready over here. I want to be coming at today's video from a more hopium's angle compared to yesterday's video, because yesterday we went over all of the potential for downside and what that would look like. In today's video, I want to be showing the other side of that, just because, well, there is still hopium to be holding on to, at least for now, and especially when we go over and look at other markets. I mean, most markets are looking for big bounces here. I think you got a big bounce coming on Nasdaq. I think you got a big bounce coming on SPY futures as well. These have hit some really critical regions. In fact, yesterday, the last day of March, Nasdaq made a new low compared to the 11th of March low, which Bitcoin did not follow. In fact, Bitcoin had a higher low, or has a higher low as of right now. So is Bitcoin going to be considered a little bit relatively strong compared to that? I don't know if I necessarily say that, but if this one starts to bounce more, hard not to see Bitcoin bouncing more as well. Same thing with SPY futures over here. This one did not make a new low yesterday, but I do put certainly significantly more weight on the on NDX here, just because it does include and focus on techs as well as financials, but it's more accurate compared to Bitcoin. Anyways, as always, Bitcoin and traditional markets are correlated on the downside, but on the upside, maybe a little bit less so. Anyways, these nanos better fucking bounce, Zer, or otherwise I'm requesting a refund. Yes, send refund request to elsa@crowntrading.net. Just kidding. Just kidding. But on a serious note, stop. Look, Elsa is our lovely customer service. For the most part, everything's all well and good, but for the love of fucking God, don't send her like page-long texts and book-long emails. It's not relevant, okay? You can get it done with just a couple of sentences. She's got a lot of shit to work through because she's a slave labor and I give her no pay and no rest at all. So she needs to free up her schedule a little bit. Anyways, holy shit, I have turned up the volume way too loud there. So let me turn it down. There we go. All my friends are dead. Polish 2020. Well, I don't understand this. I don't know. I'm out of the loop with this one, I guess. Legendary leads that ramen, vegetarian, or got meat. I don't know what you're saying, sir. We need some hopium, says Sophia. Sophia, I apologize. Butchering everyone's name. Again, I am redacted. It is the time change. I blame it on that at least. And if it continues on, then maybe I have to just capitulate and recognize that I actually am fucking retarded. There's nothing wrong with being retarded. It's just a word. It's just a word, and there's nothing wrong with being. It's just that's just the identification of it. That's all. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. All right, sweet. Let's get to the actual analysis of the day before I say more stupid shit. That's probably going to get me banned from all of these social medias, and we'll actually start it off here with the new monthly. I do think that there's several things to really be aware of. Actually, let's go over from this angle here first. All right. We have the new monthly open for April, and there are several things to be aware of that would indicate that Bitcoin is indeed going to be bearish or bullish for this month. The pivots are incredibly obvious here. We've gone over the downside pivot in yesterday's video very extensively. That is essentially March's low. As long as Bitcoin is above March's low, that does mean that there is still hopium alive. Hopium in the sense that Bitcoin might be actually completing some sort of major macro higher low. But the second that Bitcoin really starts to come back down below March's low, especially close higher timeframes above there, above a daily, that's where I say, hey, that's extremely unlikely to be happening, and we should be getting ready for significantly more downside, perhaps down to like 50, 60,000 bucks. Over time, there would be bounces, obviously, as well. But as it stands right now, there, like I said, is some hopium. And as we get into it, probably the biggest and first portion of hopium that's not related to the hash ribbons indicator, which maybe we could go over a little bit later, would be the monthly open for CME on the HPDR bands. We can see that the HPDR bands, the median is still somewhat supporting price action. It would imply that as long as Bitcoin is above it, which it is currently at 79,900, as long as Bitcoin is above it, which would also be the March close as well, by the way, then we could actually expect a move to test back on the top side of the 38.2 level, which is 98,500. That would be very fucking significant, because if it happened, it would initiate and green light several bullish conditions along the way, actually much sooner than even hitting that number as well, like significantly sooner. To the upside, the pivot here is, well, it depends. Do you want to go by the book or not? If you want to go by the book, then we would say, again, about 92,800, that March 6th high, or if you want to be a little bit more aggressive, then we would use the most recent lower high here at about 88,500 bucks. If Bitcoin closed above there, probably a good signal. But for right now, I do think that there will be a little bit of downside tested, even if you are super, super bullish. Typically the new month does put in, a bit of a low compared to the actual open. And if it does come back down to the median here on the monthly HPDR, again, around 79,900, just anywhere around there is fine. We would be anticipating a bounce on the first pass. If that bounce fails, yes, big problems. But for right now, this setup right here, combined with, of course, the hash ribbons signal as well, which did fire off and did actually confirm on all higher timeframes. Now it's confirmed on a daily, a 5-day, a weekly, and so on and so forth. And again, this one did fire off recently. That was about last week. And that does indicate that last low over here, again, is going to be the management low for that. In the cases where we have seen the hash ribbons indicator setup fail, which has happened 3 times in Bitcoin's history out of 20 full times, that is when we have seen, significant downside movements after that. So I really do want to express severe caution if Bitcoin does lose this low, because it's probably going to get much, much worse if that does happen. But But for right now, Bitcoin has a bit of a chance, and we could actually go into a very quick meta signal setup right here. In fact, I forgot to bring it up to begin this one, but this one also be on the more short-term hopium side. Let me just pull it up right here. Where is it? There you are. Yes, finally. Fuck yeah. This one was fired off, I believe, for free in their Discord. You can find a link to that in the description below if you're here on YouTube. And this one actually already has hit target number 2 based off of an hourly setup. Again, target number 2 is around a 50% probability. That was just under 84,000 bucks. This one opening at 82,130. There is a target 3 on this one as well. It is very low probability. It is under 30% probability to be hit, and that is just under 86,000 bucks if it does get met. I would really only look at that as relevant if Bitcoin can trade back above this morning's high. If you can see that, okay, probably does go for target number 3. Probably even goes on for more than that as well. I mean, maybe that would just be a good signal of the actual low, but I think that it would be a little bit too premature to be saying that for myself. Anyways, also on the topic of hopium here, I want to go back to the April statistics. So here I've gone through each and every past April and recorded all of the monthly data, pertaining to whether it's likely to close positively or negatively, the average returns, these sort of things, and then also the open to a low. That's what we did yesterday. Now I want to actually go over the open to the high data because I do think that is super interesting right here. And maybe also the open to low data as well, but the open to high data. So this is going to be most relevant in the face of essentially, essentially a breakdown, a negative closing month. On average, we have seen when April closes negatively in the past, we've seen that there has been about a almost 8 to 9% move to the upside first before the month actually did come down and close down. Now, we should acknowledge that 2014 was a big outlier right here. This one was double the next highest percentage differential there at 20%. Everything else coming in around 10% or lower. So if we do get rid of that actually would bring down the open to high data for those negative months closer to about 5 to 6%. So if we go back into the data right here, and seeing as we already have the open for this month, well, what would that look like if Bitcoin were to play out that upside? And how high would that kind of anticipate? Well, that would be somewhere around 87.5 to 88,000 bucks. It's not necessarily good enough to get Bitcoin back above that last swing high from last week, but it'd be pretty damn close. So I would again express major caution even as long as Bitcoin's below there, because that even would be playing out perfectly with the open to high data, meaning that, you expect to wick up there and then close it back down. Of course, on the other side, we should be looking at the open to low data. The open to low data has found that the average differential when it is a positive closing in April, because I think that's, more relevant to be looking at here, has been about 3.5 to 4.25%. And if we put that into action, that would imply that even if Bitcoin is going to close this month positively, we should still anticipate, a somewhat shallow move to the downside, 3.5 to 4%. That would put Bitcoin just below 80,000 bucks. What do you know? That also aligns pretty much perfectly with the HPDR median over here for CME at 79.9. Anywhere around there is honestly fine. I mean, these are averages, so we do expect some variance. But I just want to show that that this does align from multiple different angles, meaning that as long as Bitcoin is above there really is like legitimate hopium alongside the hash ribbons indicator signal. But that all gets completely fucking nullified and destroyed the second that Bitcoin comes back down below there and closes a higher time frame below there. On top of this, I do want to acknowledge that all of the higher term time frame momentum oscillators are still not great. Monthly right here, we can see the monthly stochastic momentum oscillator is coming down hard, losing the critical zone for the first time in actually over almost like a year and a half now, since the end of 2023. And this one's going to continue down, and the pivot actually moved up from March to April, and it moved up to 106,150. So hard to be bullish over the over the very long term, as long as this one is pointed to the downside. Just naturally over the full history of Bitcoin, it's just never been a winning proposition to be on the bullish side when that is happening. But weird things can happen. Maybe if Bitcoin spends a lot of time going sideways here without making new lows, then that could be an indication that it's just going to be a bullish reset. But that would naturally take a long time. This is a monthly fucking chart. It'd take, I would imagine, like 6 to 8 new months in order to, to get this down to the bearish control zone. Anyways, on top of that, the quarterly is also closed. So we have a new open here as well. And the quarterly stochastic momentum oscillator continues to be pivoted to the upside for now, to be fair. And it should be known, though, that the pivot here is actually all the way at $93,000. So that's, I guess, a little bit more in alignment with the traditional last high. So if Bitcoin can reclaim, again, those low 90 numbers, then you're going to see quarterly momentum continue on to the upside. That's also very relevant just because anytime we have seen the quarterly stochastic oscillator cross to the downside, these have been, around or just after major macro highs. So I do think that that deserves a little bit of consideration. Also, the bi-monthly is a little bit better in this case. Obviously, that one did not close last night, but it is going to close at the end of this month, April, and this one is going to have a real chance to turn down. And this one actually has been incredibly accurate in calling the past 3 market cycle tops when it crosses down. This one will cross down at the end of April if Bitcoin is still below 91,100. So I would say that if you actually don't see Bitcoin go above 91,000 bucks by the end of this month, then that's going to be a signal that, or at least it's a signal to me that it's looking fucking bad. That also means if we can see Bitcoin above that pivot, well, we're going to see several things start to switch back on to mega fucking bullish. And at that point, take out your loans and fucking long your longs. I'm kidding. Okay. I'm kidding. Don't do that. Like, don't actually do that. It's fucking redacted. Like, it can end really, really poorly, and requires a lot of luck in order to make that work. So yes, anyways, I think I've hit just about everything here. There's maybe one last thing I want to get into. Let's go to, yes, it's on this chart, referencing the monthly MACD. Not something that I bring up too often, but I do think that it does matter on the weekly and the monthly. Again, the monthly is accurately called like bull market definitely over whenever we see across the downside of the monthly. Even when this has like a strong negative slope, it has been a pretty bad indication in the past as well. But as it stands right now, it is still in the bullishly cross direction, but it will cross below the signal line if Bitcoin closed below 61,200 by the end of this month. That would be pretty fucking ugly, I guess. But we'd know obviously very, very much prior to that Bitcoin, is looking bad, because it would obviously imply that Bitcoin would already be below the March lows. But that would just further kind of exacerbate the higher term time frame look in stating that, hey, this isn't just like come down to $65,000 and then back to the fucking moon, alt season and all this bullshit. It would indicate that, we're getting ready for somewhere around a year of sideways and down. But until that happens, I still hold on to some hopium. It could still be viewed as an opportunity, as a major opportunity. And I will be likely taking positions based off of that, but I do want to see one more try a little bit lower. Than what we did see this past week, and then perhaps make a decision. Not necessarily right now. I'm in no rush personally right now, especially with the way that traditional markets look. Even though traditional markets probably do set up for at least a short-term bounce here, but higher term timeframes looking not great, not great there. So that's where we'll end the this analysis for today. I'll be posting just this Bitcoin portion actually to my YouTube a little bit later for the people who just want the fucking analysis. We'll get on with the with the live stream comments and requests now. Looking at all kinds of shitcoins. I'm curious actually what we're going to find today. Are we going to find any diamonds in the rough, or are they all just going to be rough? And that is where we'll end it for today. As always, wish you the best. Take care. Much love. And see you hopefully tomorrow. Very lovely. All right, nice. Let's carry on. I see. Okay, this is cool. It actually tells me if people are from Twitter or from YouTube. That's actually really, really awesome. All right, nice. This guy's talking at 1,009 miles per hour. Yes. Are you fucking new here, or are you just redacted? Like, who leaves a comment? Like, who cares? Who fucking cares, dude? Anyways, I actually don't think I am getting all of the comments here. Oh shit, that's unfortunate. Damn. I was hoping this would work, but I guess we'll just have to go over here. And holy shit, we have almost 2,000 people watching right now. That's crazy. Anyways, I will go to my regular charts. Let's see what requests Elsa has already accumulated. I can see that Jogan is first. He says, thoughts on today's SPX close. Reminds me of those final lows we put in back in 09 on closing hours. Good sign for alts. I do do think that there's going to be a bounce here, regardless of whether you're like super bullish or super bearish on traditional markets. Your SPY futures, your NAS futures are the ones that I like to watch here. I do think that this one is going to open up this month, at least with a bounce for NAS somewhere around 19,600. For SPY futures, I think that this one could actually trade a little bit higher. It is operating in a relatively stronger position than NASDAQ. It didn't make a new low yesterday, for example, but I still look at this as an obvious downtrend and pressure down. And here's the thing with the monthly, with the quarterly, this is concerning here. I mean, this one could easily rally up at some point in April to even 57.50, which is, a decent move, right? I mean, it's tradable on lower timeframes, but that's exactly where you'd be expecting a rejection if this one is going to try lower overall, maybe closer to like 5,400, somewhere between like 5,250 to 5,400, something like that in this pocket right here. I mean, that would be kind of like the traditional play. And there is good reason to believe that it likely does come down somewhere around there, because we do see that there is several drives of bearish divergence coming off of the monthly time frame right here. Even the quarterly has it as well. 1, 2, 3 drives. I mean, doesn't happen very often. So I do look at that as like rather concerning. And obviously if, SPY futures would come down below, these numbers and last month's low, it's hard not to see Bitcoin do the same thing as well. I mean, fuck, SPY had a 10% move to the downside. Bitcoin had a 30% move to the downside. Like, I don't think it would end very well. I mean, that would probably put Bitcoin somewhere between 40 and 50, I guess. Just making like like 1 to 3 relationship right there. But yeah, as far as as far as SPX, I do think that you have a local low here, but I wouldn't be jumping the gun on this one as long as you're below the late March high of the 25th of March. As long as you're below, what exact number is it? 58.30 or so, 58.30. As long as you're below there, it is still a downtrend, and it is still risky, but for SPY at least, we do see that there is a higher low in place right here. So there is a potential for a real reversal back into an uptrend, but that is the main pivot to be aware of as of right now. Anyways, I'll move on. From there. All right, nice. Tobo says Tesla quarterly, weekly, monthly. Okay, very high term timeframes. Nice. TSLA. Let's see what this one's looking like. I don't hate it. I don't love it. The reason why I don't hate it, it didn't close below any sort of critical levels. That would have been about 225 on the monthly. On the quarterly, same thing, actually just bounced off of the yellow 21 exponential moving average. So, I do look at this as still potential for hopium, but where would be the obvious area to be getting bullish on this thing and like blindly bullish on it yet again? And that just has to be above that last Thursday high, the 27th of March, which is 292. Above there, yeah, I mean, there's your continuation of uptrend. Until then, it does look to me like this thing's going to spend a long time consolidating here. Your highs, let me just do the quarterly range here. The highs coming in at 415 essentially, and the lows coming in here at around 150 or so. And you just tested the top side of the range. Typically, you're going to come at least to the middle of the range after that, and in many cases to the bottom of the range as well. But for right now, we do already have the test to the mid portion of the range. That would be the 50% level right here at 225. So I guess in the most bullish of scenarios, and we would expect that the lows are in, and next move should be back above that high. And if that happens, yeah, that's my obvious signal to be bullish and trending in motion again for something like this. But don't underestimate how long a major monthly consolidation can take. I could easily see this taking and dragging out till next year. Honestly, I mean it's been in this range since 2021. I don't think it's ready to break out just here, or at least just yet. But hopium still is abound as long as it's above that 225-ish number, essentially the March lows. If it loses March lows, then you're probably looking somewhere extremely likely below $200, probably between 150 to 180. So yeah. All right. But and I don't know if this is relevant to you, but because you are in such higher term timeframes, I wouldn't call this completely fucking wrecked unless if it really came back down and closed below about 130, or wouldn't even really need to close below there. Just come back down below 130. If that happened, then yeah, I would entertain downside targets as you're asking for, and at that point have to be looking sub 100. But give it a chance here first. I don't think that's relevant to be focusing on just yet. Just my opinion. Anyways, No More Paper says, hey, Krown, I put my sideline cash into XAUT, okay? Is this a crypto or a stock? Let's find out. I'm going to hold my breath. Holy shit, it's a crypto. Oh, God. This is Tether Gold. Is that what this is? That's actually kind of a cool idea with the 4-2 madness coming. Fuck, I forgot to mention that in my video. I do want to acknowledge that tomorrow is Liberation Day, right? Liberation Day. But here's the thing, with just like with bullish events, anticipated to be bullish events, it is typically a bearish outcome. Well, when you have a bearish expected event, the real outcome is typically bullish, or typically marks low. So I'd look at tomorrow as a better day to potentially be positioning, just because things probably have an initial reaction when that event happens, but after that, should be an opportunity. I mean, if that does play out. Anyways, as far as this thing, XA, I guess it's like some gold stablecoin or something, similar to gold. I do think that you're in the end stages of a parabolic blow off top here. I mean, this one, it really does look to me like this might actually be it, which is probably a good indication for traditional markets as well, because we do see that gold and traditionals are playing opposite of each other. And at some point in April, I do think that you're going to come back down closer to $3,000 and test around there and probably bounce as well. So that's really all that I'd be saying for right now. Basically, short term / medium term, likely coming down closer to 3,000. I'd be expecting a bounce there, and then we'll come back to it after that. I can't really get too far ahead of myself. Other than that, what's your thoughts on holding this until Bitcoin gets above 93? You're going to lose out on some, but you're also going to have the added sort of confidence that, if you do wait for a 93 level or something like that to get taken out, I think you could honestly make that decision above about 90. You're going to have the confidence that it's a lot more likely to move in that direction. Right now, it's still risky. But yeah, I'm glad that you brought this one up, because I haven't really been looking at gold, and if this one's having a bit of a local high right here, we should probably be looking for local lows on risk assets like crypto and in traditional markets, which I do think traditional markets is pretty obvious, at least for the short term, at least for like the very short term. All right, cool. We have Anima next. He says, "Hello, sir. My friend asks if it's dumb to give my friend to give up their 9 to 5 to become a full-time trader, software engineer, solid logistics, BG Fairbit, paper trading, Krown's TA Basics." Net worth of 650,000 liquid. All right, you're in a pretty good position there, at least I would say. Is it a dumb idea to give up your 9 to 5? So here's what I'd say, because I never want to dissuade anyone, because I mean, if someone like the people who try to dissuade me, I remember what that was like. Fucking sucked, right? But here's what I'd say: if you already have a couple years of successful history of trading, especially in these environments, okay, if you want to do it, give it a try. I don't think, though, that you need to necessarily give up your job alongside of this. I think that you could do both, depending upon how serious you are, and especially if you're using very high term time frames as well. You don't need to be at your desk looking at TradingView all fucking day long. So that's a personal thing. Maybe it's relevant to you, maybe it's not. I don't know. But if you do not have that multi-year long of successful history, I would say at least 2 years, then fuck, man, no, I can't say that I would do that myself. If that is your case, what I would suggest to do is to continue to practice while you still have the job. So you do both, and then once you've proven to yourself that, hey, I can be consistent for a couple of years, then okay, sure, go ahead. At least you'll be safe, and you do have a nice nest egg there as well. So it's not like you're going to go fucking broke the next day. But my fear is that if you haven't really gone through the full learning phase just yet, you're just naturally going to be a net loser, at least in my experience. I mean, what can you expect? It just takes time, man. It just takes time. So yeah, that's what I'd say, or at least the parameters I would kind of give around a decision for that. You don't want to put yourself in a tough spot. You don't want to risk money unnecessarily. And I look at risking money during the learning phase as unnecessary. You don't need to lose that. You can just paper trade. You can just trade a very small dollar account, and you can learn that way. Nishant says, Try your best to be serious. All right, I'm getting very serious here. We are talking about the magic internet monies, and there will be no jokes, no laughing. Elsa, stop it. Be respectful for once of your life. Like, seriously, get serious. If this is indeed the end of the cycle, why didn't we have an alt season? What was different? Okay, so I will repeat the same shit that I've said a million times now. A million times, or it feels like a million times. Hey, all right, we're getting very serious here. Okay, look, alt season has always been a lie. The reason why alt season has been a lie is because people are so fucking concentrated and focused on 2017, where there actually was an alt season. In fact, it actually wasn't necessarily an alt season, because what rallied was a very particular sector. It was the ICO sector. Everything else from the prior cycle didn't do shit. Like you didn't see anything from the prior cycle that was in the top 10 that's not named Bitcoin or XRP in the top 10 for the next cycle as well. You know, there's big changes during that time, but people who came into that cycle looked at it as, okay, shit, like literally everything's rallying, because everything was an ICO. We saw the same thing in 2020 and 2021 as well. It was just a couple of sectors, really. It was not a market-wide rally to new all-time highs. Most things got bounces into macro lower highs and didn't do shit. And that's, the big issue with most shitcoins, to be honest. And what were the sectors that were hot last cycle? Well, it was DeFi, and then you had NFTs, and then I think there was maybe one more thing as well. But those were the ones that did really well. Everything else was not much, not making, certainly the overwhelming majority were not making new all-time highs, especially if the ones that were, around during prior cycles. And then for this cycle, we did have an alt season. If you don't recall, memes went to the fucking moon and beyond. Like, it was their job, because it is their job, which in my opinion was your alt season. Everything else did exactly what everything else has done in all prior cycles, which is not fucking much, except for a very small of things. I think the days of things being like super easy like it was in 2017, they're long gone, and people are holding on to this belief of like, we deserve an altcoin season. We deserve the alt season must happen, otherwise the cycle isn't real. It's like, no, there are no rules like this at all. There's no rules like this at all. And it could be a career-ending mistake to be holding on to these outdated beliefs. At least that's just my opinion. Anyways, Nishant says, or he's back again. He's looking at Nifty 50. Let's see. Let's check it out. Local high, short term, I'd be looking for this one to come back down. In fact, even the weekly is a local high plus hidden bearish divergence. So I am looking for this one to come back down closer to the last couple weeks lows, somewhere between like 22.7 to 22.3. Other than that, I don't really have much to say about this thing. Yeah, that would be another test of the 21. So let's just say tentatively 22,500 or so. Best pray for a bounce there, because if it fails there, then I think it's going significantly lower. But for right now, give it a chance. Like I said, there's a little bit of hopium abound. But yeah, I mean, this one is in a weekly downtrend. Monthly hasn't flipped around just yet, but it will if it takes out last month's low. That will look pretty bad if that happens. So we'll see. But short term, yeah, down. Medium term, down. I wouldn't make any correlation to the higher term timeframes just yet. There we go. We got 2,100 people watching. This is awesome, man. I think we'll stream to Twitter more often from here. Dr. Checkmate says FXI ETF. Okay, I'm glad that you specified it is indeed a real stock. Let's check out this one. It's a China large cap. Okay, as I always like to repeat this whenever I see something that's Chinese. The first thing that my mentor told me when I came into trading, one of the first things he said, avoid the China shit. You don't know what the hell's going on over there. But yeah, this one monthly did get rejected right at that 200 simple moving average on the, again, monthly time from very, very high term time frame. So I am looking at this as a high probability for a local high. I do think it can in the short term retest around there, $37.50, just for what it's worth. But I would be looking at that as yet another opportunity to probably offload, because this one very likely does play at a pullback from here. I suspect that you also have bearish divergence on the weekly time frame as well. You do. So I would be anticipating a bit of a short-term downside move, maybe down around, I think very likely just below 34. If things get really crazy, maybe closer to like $30.50. But I wouldn't call it a reversal back down towards the lows just yet, as long as this thing's above the January lows of this year. The January lows of this year at $28.50, it is possible that it does, that it does put in a higher low on those daily, weekly timeframes, and then does complete the reversal. But for right now, short-term, medium-term downside, and then come back to it after that. If you do see this thing, especially below, again, that January low, yeah, you should be expecting this thing to come all the way back down to the lows from the last couple of years, 22 and 24 right here. But until that happens, like I said, I think it's okay to have a bit of hopium right here. Quarterly didn't close terribly. Closed actually better than what I would have expected, but yeah, fair enough. Not much else to say about it other than that. Or you're also looking at the daily. Daily, yeah, short term, maybe another very small try back up towards that 200 simple. I think you get rejected there. You come down and try for a higher low, a little bit lower. Cool. William Valadez says, great streams, Krown. Awesome, man. I'm glad to hear. Very glad to hear. Short-term targets you like on Filecoin. Any major resistance you see? Let's see. I haven't looked at this thing in, this was like a cycle. This is so last cycle, sir. Okay, there has to be a better chart than this, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. Do we go to Coinbase? It's on Coinbase, but not really much else. Coinbase and, okay, here we go. Yes, now we have the full history. Short term, I do think that this one will try a little bit higher. You can see several drives of bullish divergence on the daily time frame right here. So, does it pop back up closer to that March 26th high? Probably. But I don't know how short term you are here. But generally, yeah, I think it's going to trade back up towards $3. Yeah, that's really all that I have to say about that, because I don't know how short term you are. Like if you're very, very short term on the hourly, okay, well, this is probably a short term pullback right here on the hourly, but I do think that the 4 hour and I do think that the 12 hour and the daily have a little bit more upside to go overall. So I don't know which one's exactly relevant to you, but I could easily see this thing popping back up above $3. Yeah, other than that, not much else to say. I'd still maintain a long-term bearish buy. So as long as it's below about $3.50, in long term, I mean, this thing has been massively fucking bearish. Look, this thing is not fucking reversing here. I'll put it this way. Okay, I shouldn't be that direct, because obviously I can be wrong. But look, it's in a monthly downtrend. It's never really known what an actual uptrend is, anyways. Had one pop up, over here, similar to most shit coins, and then didn't do shit after that. I mean, this is the dead heartbeat chart, right? I mean, this is what the real chart looks like, on a linear scale. It's bad. It's really fucking bad. There's absolutely zero things bullish about it on the very long term, as long as it's below the December 2024 high. And I don't think that honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you never trade above that level ever again. Maybe that's a little bit too low. Maybe I should move that up to like $10. But yeah, either which way, very fucking bad. But yeah, in the short term, it depends how short term you are. Extremely low term timeframes, yeah, a bit of a pullback. But I do think that those medium timeframes try closer to $3. So yeah. Cool. Anima says, excellent advice, sir. I'll convey it to my friend. Awesome. I'm glad to hear your friend. Hopefully your friend takes it well. Again, the main thing is just, we don't want to fucking unnecessarily give up money, especially during the learning phase. We want to save that money for when we actually have the skill. And then, yeah, sure. Okay. Put your risk on, that's the time to do it, but not before then. And again, you can learn trading while doing even a 9-to-5 job. I mean, shit, most 9-to-5 jobs, at least from what I've seen from my friends, is that they can kind of just get away with studying something while they're working. Like they're barely fucking working, a lot of them. Like they're just surfing the internet, it seems like. So yeah, that would be a good time, instead of like surfing fucking memes on Twitter, to actually study. Nice. All right. Brody Bennett says, Daddy Krown, USL on the ASX. Okay, I'm glad that you specified the exchange as well. It's this one right here. Silver. It's some sort of silver, I'm guessing. Is it like a silver miner or something like this? Overall, I do like it on the reversal. It's just short term. I do think that it could come down a little bit more. In fact, I think that it's very likely to come down a little bit more, maybe closer to like 24.5 to 25 cents. But I'd be looking at the reversal as real as long as you're above last month's low. So does it have a short-term pullback and do something like this, put in a higher low and then try higher? Something like this, yes. I would maintain a bullish bias as long as you're above this area right here on the higher term timeframes, which you are on actually. So that's cool. Yeah, and quarterly, again, like overall, this is fine. I just think that it pulls back short term here, and then you probably get a rally later on in Q2 of this year. Giles DeBosch says, hello, sir. Could you take a look at Super on the daily and weekly? All right, let's check this one out. Where is my Super? There she is. There she is. Okay, quarterly close. Don't like how that one worked. Do think you could very easy, even if you're the biggest bear on this thing, you could still easily have a short-term rally to open up this quarter back to that red moving average, which is all the way at 70 cents or a little bit above 70 cents to be fair. So even if I'm super, super bearish, I do think that this one probably does trade a bit higher. The thing is, though, is that if it does hit that number, it'll naturally take out this last lower high right here as well, play out the LARP line simultaneously, and at that point you have a real reversal. Is this a higher low right here, at least for the daily? I think it's definitely possible. So, at that point, 75 to maybe even $1 is certainly possible. But what time frames were you going? Oh, you're going off of a weekly. Sorry, I'm like way off here. Again, this looks like a low to me. This thing has been beat up a lot. I mean, it basically went straight down from 227 all the way to 37 cents. It's an 83.5% decline. I mean, this thing has had a bear market already, basically. I think you're ready for a bit of mean reversion here in Q2. And I wouldn't be surprised at all to see this thing, at least around like 75 to 80 cents. I think it could even get $1 plus, honestly. But higher term timeframes, yeah, monthly, quarterly, like they're not great. They're not great, but I do think that you try some upside here, at least in the short term. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, man. We got Peepoo next, Mr. Peepoo on YouTube, and he's looking at tether dominance. Tether dominance. Oh, this would have been a good one. Fuck, I completely forgot to include this in my analysis. Oleg on YouTube says, is it possible to get hair from the balls for a hair transplant? Will solve two problems, hairy balls versus vanishing head. Actually, I would like to know this as well from my own understanding. It probably does work, but then you just literally have your ball hairs on your head. And, well, there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. What if you use someone else's ball sack hair? Even better. Anyways, okay, now that I recognize this, because I did not look at this chart at all actually before this stream, the monthly chart for tether dominance, there's actually good reason to believe that this could very well be a local high in progress here for March, actually. And if this one is putting in a high and likely to come back down, then obviously you have to be bullish on cryptos or Bitcoin, and I guess a lot of the rest of the stuff too. Why do I say that? Because one, it got rejected right at the last closure for the last local high, and then on top of that, there is potential here, although unconfirmed. Oh, sorry, actually there's not. I was going to say there's potential for hidden bearish divergence. Let's actually double check. Okay, so this high right here is 50.85. This high right here is 50.87. So actually there actually would be a very slight amount of hidden bearish divergence possible if it can confirm a local high right here. How would you confirm a local high right here? Coming back down below last week's low, and that is 502%, by the way. And I do think that that's still very much possible here. The reason being that this one has been perfectly rejected right around the 200 simple moving average as well on the weekly, and there is hidden bearish divergence on that one as well. So again, I just need to see below last week's low, and at that point, I think that this thing is going to be coming down a lot more, at least towards about 460-ish region, which would be this green line right here, and potentially all the way back down to these same lows that we saw throughout 2024 and 2025, closer to about 4%. So take it one step at a time. But for right now, I mean, this is looking still like a local high to me. So I do favor short-term upside for probably most cryptos as we've been going over. So yeah, I think we just finished with those ones there. Let me get on to my other comments here. Very nice. For whatever reason, my YouTube doesn't want to update on it. So I'm going to bring up the Twitter Spaces here. Let's see. Oh, nice. Okay, I can see over here. Nice. Thank you for reposting the event, as always. Hey, it's all good, Dan. It's all good, man. I'm just talking shit as well. It's no problem, man. Yeah, fuck yeah. Tales from the crypto. We got 1,000 people on Twitter. Actually, that is wild, man. That is so totally wild. Anyways, I am back on the YouTube comments here. I can see that there is a few requests for Ethereum Bitcoin. Is there a reversal there? I don't know. Let's see. Haven't looked at this pair in a while either. Is there a reversal on the 4-hour time frame? Still pretty far away from actually confirming a reversal, but you do have some bullish divergence coming off of this low. So I think there is 2 drives. Yeah, just 2 drives. I do think that it could trade a little bit higher, maybe closer to like 2.25 million Satoshis, just basically around this green line right here, somewhere around there. I'm curious though, where is it in the greater scheme of things? Yeah, daily time frame also has potential for bullish divergence here. If it can just close above yesterday's high, I would say that is essentially confirmed. Well, let's actually make that 2.25. I mean, that would look really, really good. And I could easily see this thing going decently higher from there, closer to like 2.325 million Satoshis, something like this. Still, higher term timeframes are pretty fucking ugly though. Like, it's actually crazy. This thing doesn't even have the potential for bullish divergence on the weekly time frame. What the hell? The monthly closed on the lows. So yeah, it's like it can have a short-term upside move. Maybe it comes back up closer to like 250,000 Satoshis or something, but it's kind of where you'd be expecting a pushback at least. I mean, this is not fucking bullish when you see something like this, but can it bounce? Sure. Is it a tradable bounce? I guess if you're on the lower term time frames, sure. But I wouldn't be surprised to see this one move lower at some point during this quarter. I don't know if that's relevant to you or not, to be honest. So maybe it is, maybe it ain't. Who knows? Only God knows why. Anyways, let's see. Nishant says, my internet got disconnected after you asked us to take loans in long or longs. Thank you for the advice. I'm submitting my application now. No problem. Also get the applications for McDonald's as well ready, just in case. We have to have a plan B as well. This is a smart way to do it. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And let's see what else we got over here on YouTube. XRP. Yeah, let's look at XRP. This one, we switched around to being bearish on this in the past couple weeks. And do I still stay bearish on this? Let's see the monthly closure. Just like Bitcoin, just like the rest of the cryptos, there is potential for a hopium scenario here. It's still above all major moving averages on the monthly time frame. I'm curious where the new monthly momentum pivot is, because that was to the upside the last time I checked. It is going to cross to the downside at the end of this month if XRP fails to reclaim 273. So failure to reclaim about 2 3/4 by the end of this month, or if this one comes back down below that February low and closes even a daily below there, at that point I'd say that this one's wrecked as fuck, and probably going to come down to like 1.25, maybe even below $1 after that. But for now, I still think that it is appropriate to have some hopium here, to be honest with you, man. However, in the short term, does it look like that? No, I mean, by all intents and purposes, this is a fucking downtrend. Like, it looks ugly, don't get me wrong. It's just I have those rules on the higher term time frames for myself, because more often than not, that's going to be on the right side of things, but not always. Anyways, in this case, is XRP is it ready for a bounce at least? Is it ready for a bounce? This thing could easily bounce to 2.25. I am more inclined to say that things are going to open up this month on a bounce. I think that this thing could easily trade close to like 2.25. Doesn't really do anything. I guess the earliest area that I'd be getting massively bullish on would be if this thing can close above $2.50, or essentially the 200 simple on the 12-hour time frame here. Just this last lower high. Until then, yeah, risk remains to the downside, but short term can very easily bounce. Just doesn't mean that bounce is going to materialize into a reversal. So yeah, I think that's where I'll leave this one at. IPUSDT for Matthew. Sure, man. What is this thing? I don't think I've ever seen this thing before, or have I? Doesn't sound familiar. Anyways, I can see that this thing's in one massive this is very new. I was looking at a 4-hour time frame. Again, short term, if it wants to bounce like a little bit above $5 is completely fine. Overall, though, not great, as long as it's below this last lower high from the 25th of March. It could very easily bounce up here, reconnect, come back down. It isn't a downtrend, to be fair. So I do have to favor the downside here. And we are seeing momentum also continue to the downside. Yes, it's getting into critical zone. So that's why I do think in the short term, probably does bounce. It's not even enough history to populate a 5-day time frame, so I look at that as a signal that that's about as far as I can go. And as always, when we're looking at an asset that has very limited history here, like something like this, I don't really trust traditional analysis all that well, to be honest. So yeah. All right, cool. Hyro, yes, indeed, we're on Twitter. It's a Twitter special. In fact, there's significantly more people watching on Twitter than there is on YouTube. That is crazy. 1,700 people watching on Twitter right now. Fucking awesome, man. Anyways, let me get back to the comments here. But a lot less comments on Twitter. Or maybe I'm missing something. Like, is it not updating or what's going on? Wait, what's the deal with what's? Anyways, all right, let me read through some of these. Harsh Rana says PP weekly and monthly. Sure, man. PP over here. What is this one doing? This one, like most shitcoins that we've seen today, they look like this one's hit the easy bounce target already. I guess the real question is this going to be a higher low here? Possible, but I would say unlikely. Yeah, man, I'm not bullish on something that looks like this. I think that this one tops out kind of where it's at right now. Maybe slightly higher. I'll be wrong on that if it can trade above the 50% level here, which is 79,000, whatever the fuck denominating currency that is, or like 1/1,000,000th of a cent or some shit like this. But for right now, I would actually still be leaning on the downside. I think that this one continues back down closer to these lows. It's already played out my LARP line bounce here. I think next move is actually short-term downside. Let's see what the 10-day looks like as well. Not terrible. If it does want to bounce, then yeah. What was it? 78? Something like that would be fine. Yeah. Now that I look at it over the long term, you do have a kind of range play here, right? You've hit the bottom side of the range. That was in early March. Maybe it tests in there again, but I'm not looking for this thing to break down below these regions, or at least if it is going to break down, I don't think it happens in the in the near future. I think that you're still in a bounce posture from here, and I think that you'll at some point bounce higher. But yeah, that's really all that I have to say about the PP right there. We have Gwinto. He says AVAX daily and weekly. Okay, this is a prior cycle shitcoin. Let's see how it's done this cycle. Surely there's going to be new all-time highs because alt season, right? And there is not, actually. That's crazy. When I look at the quarterly here, again, it could very easily bounce up to like $24-$25. That's exactly what I'd be looking for on a lower high pullback. Yeah, this one's kind of the same thing as PP right here as well. Both PP and Avalanche, are they going to be putting in a higher low here and try a short-term upside move, or is it going to come down from here? I'm a little bit more inclined to say this one's more likely to come to the downside. I think at most you might get to $20 in the short term. But just like PP, this thing is a range play as well. It's coming off of this okay, let me just do it for this time frame. It's coming off of this long-term low here. So it's like, does it have that much more downside? I don't think it's going to make a new low compared to the March low, but it could very easily come back down around there, put in a higher low, and then give you a big bounce somewhere around here. And I do think that does happen over a long enough period of time. Still be a lower high in the weekly, to be fair, but it would be a very, very decent bounce. Yeah, monthly, same thing. Yeah, that's what I'd say about that. So fair enough. Nice one. And we have Nikki Page. Good morning to you as well. I'm just eating weed, honey. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the intro if I have another spoonful. Is that even a thing? Holy shit, man. Where do you live? Where do they even have this sort of concoction? All right, I'm back over here on Twitter right now. I see K Sang says AIOZ. All right, I think this one sounds familiar, but I don't recall. Okay, yeah, it is a 2021 shitcoin. It did get close to those prior all-time highs, so it's better than most, to be fair. But just like the last couple charts, you are coming off of the... Oh, Jesus Christ, did it again, bastard. You are coming off of this range low right here. It's like, do you test into that low again? Probably, but I don't think you're going to break down just yet. Shit, even in the short term, it might actually just rally from here. In the short term, it could easily rally to 26.5 to 27 cents. And then pull back from there. But I don't think, but I want to be really, it's such a delicate scenario here because it's like, yeah, okay, short term, does it bounce? Probably more likely, yes, 26, 27 cents, whatever. But I don't think that you're going to fucking green dildo your way to the heavens from that exact point. I do think that that is a likely pullback region, bless you, sir. And then, does it come back down, dig out this low here, and then give a big bounce? I'm more inclined to say something like that. But that is getting like super ahead of myself right here. And, you know, for all intents and purposes, the monthly is bearish as fuck. Like it's ugly as fuck. It's just, you know, are you going to break down on this exact test right here, or does it, you know, or does it bounce first? I'm inclined to say it bounces first. Quarterly, same. I mean, just quarterly, ugly as hell, man. If it bounced up to like 35 to 40 cents, that would be a gift from God, in my opinion. So yeah. That's what I have to say about AIOZ. Hopefully that was helpful, sir. Missouri, it's spun weed. It's spun weed honey. What is that? Does that actually work? These fucking weed scientists in America have gotten really good with this stuff. Looking forward to going back there. Christian Casilla says, I just don't see how tomorrow can be bullish at all. China is going to announce huge tariffs alongside Japan and Korea on the US. It's the exact same way that that you can't see that things are bullish when FTX collapses, right? The event itself typically marks like the sort of height of emotions and the height of volatility. And well, in this case, Bitcoin's already on the lows, so you know, this is just my bullish perspective. You know, if I'm trying to make like the biggest bullish case, I'm not saying that it's going to be 100% correct. You know, I could very well be wrong on that. And, you know, it all does just shit the bed. I mean, there's good reason to believe that. Again, traditional markets, higher term timeframes, this is one of the more obvious calls. Long term, like this quarter, you know, I do think does try lower at some point, but bounces first. So we'll see. I mean, if the bounce can reclaim, you know, significant highs, then yeah, I'm not going to be bearish off that. Just not. Come to Thailand, superb weed here. I hear a lot of things are really good in Thailand, actually. Apparently the fruits are super, super good, which I love. But they're also really good in Florida too, man. Let's see. Crypto Juggle says Cardano. All right, Cardano. Let's check out this one. I haven't looked at this one in about a week, and let's see what it's doing. Okay, it did come down a little bit. We were looking for it to come down a little bit towards this region here. I think we have a chart on this one. Yes. Is it going to bounce from here in reverse? It's the same issue as most of these other shitcoins, right? It is bouncing off of the 377 exponential on the daily. It's very difficult to get bearish when things are kind of hanging on to a major moving average like this. So I'm inclined to say that it's more likely to bounce here than not, maybe close up to like 70 cents or so. But that doesn't reverse even the short-term trend. But just like XRP, I mean, this one does have a significantly different chart. Is this a monthly higher low being put in here? Well, I guess the hopium for that is alive as long as you're above the March/February low. I mean, it's essentially one and the same there. So yeah, give it a chance to bounce. I don't think that this next bounce is going to be like the move that brings it back onto, you know, $1 plus, but the longer that it holds sideways here, the more and more likely that this actually does form a macro higher low. And at that point, I mean, be pretty good, be very good actually. As far as monthly momentum, it will actually turn down if it fails to reclaim 98 cents this month. So what I'm seeing for a lot of these things is that the monthly momentum pivots have moved up significantly. For a lot of these, especially the ones that are in the critical zone, the critical bullish control zone. It's implying to me that if we don't see Bitcoin reclaim significant levels, the same ones that we spoke about throughout this stream, on the monthly pivots, then well, that's going to be bearish in and of itself. Probably a signal in and of itself. That also implies that if you're bullish, you're kind of looking for this move to materialize kind of soon. I mean, within 30 days. There's only 30 days in this month, right? So yeah. All right, let's get back on over here to Twitter. Whoops, I can hear my stupid voice again. There we go. All right. Hurling says, for nostalgia, Bonk USDT. Okay, let's check out Bonk. It's Elsa's favorite coin. Similar to a lot of the other shitcoins we've seen, you know, it is coming off of these damn it, did it again. Let's just go off of this. It is kind of coming off of this this low right here. So it's like, is it going to break it on this current move? I don't think so. I think you're in for a bounce first. Is this a higher low? It's the same question that we see across the board here. It's hard to say as of right now. I would still have to lean towards like in the very, very short term, probably another push higher, somewhere around 12,000, whatever the fuck that number is. But I do think that it will be rejected there. And I do think that it has one more attempt around the lows, maybe not to new lows, but around those lows. And then you get a real bounce. Then you get like the real big bounce. If it can, if it can bounce back above the March highs, then, this thing can move up significantly somewhere around here. But until then, I'd treat this one. I'd treat this one with caution still. This is not a great quarterly chart. This thing could rally up all the way to the red moving average, reject, then your trending move to the downside begins. I mean, that's like it can get fucking bad. That's actually the really interesting thing about about the crypto market right now, or just markets in general. It's like you're almost at the point of maximum financial return and maximum financial maximum financial return, because if you're entering into long positions here, the very obvious area to be putting in a stop loss is that March low. And, we're relatively close to it right now. So the loss is theoretically on the lower side, a little bit limited. And if it happens, it happens. But until then, you do have a setup, to be fair. Personally, I still want to see things come a little bit lower than where it's already at. We did hit around $81,000 yesterday. That's the upper end of my range that I'm kind of interested in. But, I still think that Bitcoin can very easily have one more try towards 80, then put in a higher low, then work its way up, something like this. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, a lot of people in the live right now, Ruthie. It's awesome. It's very, very awesome to see. We got even like almost 2,000 people on Twitter. That's super cool. Got to do more on Twitter, man. Anyways, Matthew Smeed is looking at, oh God, it's the Pulse chain. It's on TradingView now. All right. Well, I'm going to bite. Pulse. Oh God, which one is it? Nobody fucking knows. Is it this one? I think it's this one. I think it's this one. The DAI stablecoin. Well, looks right. Look, this is not a good chart, but I do think it's going to bounce from here. You got lower highs all the way through on the weekly, assuming I'm looking at the right chart. You've just retested the last major macro low from September of 2024. Again, you're very likely to bounce here. This thing could bounce up significantly even. It could bounce up percentage-wise. I mean, easily like 40%, 40 to 50%. But that's not a bullish, but that wouldn't be bullish. I mean, that's exactly what I'd be expecting, another lower high. So kind of a long way of saying, hey, yeah, probably more likely to bounce here first, but I wouldn't be holding on to a ton of hopium, as long as this thing's below whatever this lower high is here at about 4,000 derps, then, it's not great. Put it that way. We have a pulse. There is a pulse. It seems to be a dying pulse though. Again, I don't even know if I'm looking at the right one here, to be honest, man. So apologies if that is the case. Legends Valley Music Festival says, "Are we bullish?" Just rewind to the very first 20 minutes of this video, and you will have your answer. I do think that there's still hopium. It is. Well, it's certainly unconfirmed as of right now, and there's still potential for a real collapse if Bitcoin does lose the March lows. But yeah, there is hopium based off of the way that things closed, and if you are bullish, what I could generally say for April is you'd actually be expecting above $90,000. So I do think that all of this is kind of like on a bit of a, it's like a timer right now. It's like a timer. If it's bullish, we do expect this month to close very likely above $90,000. Anyways, I'll get on power bottom indeed. I'll get on to yes, let's go back to Twitter over here. I see JM Capital. He's looking at hype. Yeah. I know that this one's been very popular. We've been bearish on it for a while. Do I think it's going to bounce here? You do have bullish divergence on the daily RSI. It could easily bounce up a little bit more towards $14.50. Just, I can never be bullish on a downtrend, man. That's the unfortunate reality. And your last lower trending high is going to be 1670. Yeah, 1670 right here. So as long as you're below there, yeah, there's a realistic potential that the trend continues. I mean, it's not just a potential; it's more probable, to be fair. I do think that you're going to have a short-term bounce at least to kind of open up this month. Like I said, somewhere between 14 to 15. Just call it like 14 and a half, something like that. But obviously that would not be above this $16.80 high here. So that's my line in the sand for this thing. And the monthly, like, am I going to be bullish on a chart that looks like this? Fuck no. Like never, there, admittedly, there is a limited amount of history here, but it doesn't look good to me, man. Doesn't look good. So yeah, long way of saying short-term bounce. Other than that, I'll tell you what you already know. It's a downtrend. And for me, I always favor the trend. I always favor trend continuation until proven otherwise. Of course, at some point, it will be proven otherwise. Maybe this is the point, but this has been keeping us safe on something like this, ever since this area over here, when it established a downtrend. So, yeah. Marco Escobar says, just broke up with my lady. Bullish. Fucking dump it, baby. Get rid of her. Kidding, okay? Well, I mean, well, fair enough. Anyways, a contributor says, Cores, Bitcoin miner extraordinaire. Okay, let's see it. Core Scientific. Not good. Again, just absolutely ugly monthly here, but is it going to open up this month with a bounce? Yeah, I think so. Or at least it's definitely trying over here. I'm sure that you have potential for bullish divergence. There will be potential if it can confirm a local low here. It will confirm a local low if it trades back above last Friday's high. At that point, I don't know, $10. $9 to $10, but look, I'm not bullish on this thing, man. Whatever it is, it's a Bitcoin miner extraordinaire. It's extraordinarily fucking bearish over the long term. This is the Eiffel Tower or the Burj Khalifa pattern right here of death. While I do think it bounces in the short term, I don't think you're going to reclaim any significant regions. Shit, even in the short term, like the last lower high at $9.50 is kind of a big one. So. Very hard one to love. See what quarterly also ugly as fuck. I do think you're going to open up this month on a bounce. Maybe it bounces all the way up to like $9-10, but I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm bullish on it, sir. I wouldn't say I'm bullish on it. Let's see. Okay, let me just refresh over here. We have Carlos Rangel on Twitter. He says, sin, please. Okay. And then, that's a really good question, Ruthie. We should get into that as well, but let's look at this one first. SYN. Okay. Is this a stock or a crypto? I'm guessing it's a crypto due to the nature of this stream. And ugly as fuck. Exactly. A crypto chart. Beautiful. It just goes down. Amazing. Let's drop it. I'm dropping it. This one needs to be nuked now. This one needs to be nuked because it's very bad. Very, very bad. It's been a very, very bad chart. And that's what happens to bad charts. They get nuked to obliteration. Does this thing open up this month on a bounce? Maybe. I don't know. If it does want to bounce, 29 to 30 cents is fine, but does absolutely fuck all for you for the general trend. I mean, your trend is to the downside heavily as long as you're below 70 cents. And honestly, I don't even think you're going to trade above there. Like, it's certainly not this cycle, but maybe even for life is possible, I guess. This thing has been around since 2021. Didn't do shit in 2024 when the rest of the market was, going to the moon and beyond. It's never a good sign to me. But yeah, short term, it can bounce. Long term, I think the trend remains the same. You're going to see new lows on this thing probably sometime this quarter. Anita Chu says, shit, it is indeed a shit emoticon. I agree. It is what it is, though. All right. Ruthie says, is NDX set to outperform SPY from here? So let's actually see if we can chart these against each other. That'd be kind of cool. No, I think it's going to be the other way around, honestly. I think you're going to see SPY outperform NASDAQ. In fact, we're seeing this chart is having many drives of bearish divergence. I think that this one comes down closer to this number on the ratio. But long term, I mean, the trend is your friend, right? Like long term, this is massively bullish. So I do think it's generally going to be an opportunity down here. But that would imply, that NASDAQ is going to lose share to SPY. Quarterly ugly as well. Now I'm just drawing lines. My apologies. There we go. We have K saying, he says Prime. Okay, I think this is some sort of gaming thing, or is it some sort of drink? I don't know. I see this stupid ass drink at the at the grocery store every day. Looks bad. Looks really bad. There's your traditional Burj Khalifa into the bull trap. Beautiful, just beautiful. Again, can it rally to open up this month? Sure. If it wants to rally, I guess it could rally up to like $5.5 to $6.5, somewhere around there. Sure, fine. Doesn't really do anything for it. Again, long term, bearish as fuck. But you do have some weekly bullish divergence building here, like significantly new lows on the weekly Sorry. Well, it is a higher low on the weekly RSI compared to your August 2024 low here. So I do think that you're more likely to open up this month on a bounce. I just think it's not going to be doing much for you to the upside. I think best case scenario, like all of the bull moons align, and I don't know, Trump decides that crypto prime is the next. I don't know. I won't even go there. Maybe like $9-10, but I don't even think that that's going to happen. I think you get a short-term bounce here. Maybe it comes up to like 7-8, and then continues with the trend. Here's your quarterly. Just very bad. Very bad. Very bad. All right, let's see what else we got. And again, for the new people on Twitter, whenever I call a chart bad, I'm not saying you're bad. You're probably great as a person, most likely. Probabilistically, you're it's a good look. But as far as charts go, fucking bad, man. Really bad. Anyways, Nishan says, good job skipping my super chat. I think I actually did get to that one. For Nishant. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got all of yours. We did Nifty. We did your last one about disconnecting before taking out major loans. Other than that, I haven't seen anything, any other chats from you. So I don't know if she did miss it. Elsa's on top of it today. She's actually very good. Sometimes not so good. Some real retard strength in the order books on some alt. Yeah. Again, you're very likely to see a lot of these things open up this month with a bounce at least. I'm skeptical on these bounces. I still think that things try around the current lows at least again. And if things obviously are bearish, I mean, they're just going to make new lows, but yeah. So fair enough. Sophia Schmid says, WeX. Okay. Is this a thing? It is a thing. Okay. It's a WeX token. Not a lot of history here. For the history that we do have, it goes down, but there is some bullish divergence here building on this low. So I think your next move is a bounce, probably close to like 2.5 cents. But as long as you're below, let's call it 2.6 cents, long-term bearish. Just it's not much to be going off of here, but that's how to read it. I mean, that is your trend after all. But yeah, short-term probably plays out a little bit more of a bounce. Like I said, 23.5 to maybe 24.5, somewhere around there. It could very easily bounce towards. Monthly doesn't really give me much. I mean, it's just not enough history here, to be fair. So yeah, difficult with the things that have like a very limited amount of history. I mean, they can pump and dump out of nowhere, to be fair. Jokob or Jokamash. Jesus, am I saying that properly? Probably not. Apologize, man. Beara token. Okay. Beara, it's a real thing. That's great. Believe in something. Believe in Bear Jesus. Yeah. So monthly highs coming in here. Did we already hit the 50% level from last low? Yeah, it's actually there pretty much right now. This one, to be fair, looks a lot different than most other charts that we've seen today. At least it has it has a daily uptrend here. Do we have potential for hidden bullish evidence? No. Maybe on a 12-hour. Yeah, we'll have a chance there. So I guess I'm more inclined to say that this one's going to bounce in the short term, maybe like $7.5 to $8 area. Monthly, nothing to look at there. Bi-weekly can go either way. Again, just not enough history. 10-day, 5-day. These things don't really help me right now. If I had to call it, I still have to go with the general analysis that we've been looking at for pretty much all of the shitcoins today, including Bitcoin. It's like short term, does it have a slight try to the upside? Sure. possible, but I do think that you come closer to these lows here at like $6 at some point. And if it is bullish, you should expect a higher low, like a little bit above $6. But I do think that at some point it comes back down close there. So yeah. 95 says, thank you for teaching the art of trading. It's, I mean, I'm just sharing what's worked for me, man, for better or worse. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm right. That's just the way that it is. It's all probabilities at the end of the day. That's really what I've come down to. That's really what I could synthesize everything down to in just one sentence. It's all fucking probabilities. Everything has a non-zero probability. It's your job to weigh those out and then take risks based off of that, or at least that's the way that I think it should be done. So yeah. All right. Let's see what else we got. I'm going to go back here to Twitter. We have John Dude. What's up, man? XMR on the 3-month. Yeah, Monero. I remember last we looked at this. It did look somewhat different than most things. Let's see how that's working now. And it does. It really does look a lot different than most things. This one actually closed out the quarterly green. I think even the monthly was not green, but still above all major moving averages. So I'm not bearish on that. The problem is that it's right at the top side of the range, which has been the sort of rejection area for this whole channel going back to 2022. So is it ready to break out from here, or does it come back down first and then try to break out? I'm actually inclined to say that this thing will try from here. Or sorry, not exactly from here. Maybe it pulls back to $200 first, but I don't think that you're going to be going much lower than that. If this thing is going to try a real breakout above last quarter's high. And if it could just even trade above last quarter's high, I think that this thing's going to have a pretty big move towards 350, maybe even 400 plus. I guess it'd finally get to join the rest of the market because it hasn't really done that in 2024 during the 2024 bull market. So hard to say there, but in a tough spot, in my opinion, like in the short term. But if I actually had to call it, I do think, again, could come close to $200. I don't think that you break down below $200. I do think it gives one more try to the upside. Overall, again, about 240 to 250. And if it can just trade above there, or close a daily above there, I mean, yeah, I think you're in for a big breakout, decently higher. So yeah. Has a chance there, and very interesting to see something that just looks totally different. Crypto Juggle says Sui. Yeah, we can look at that. So you're saying there's a chance, Dr. J. Yes, there's always a chance. It just might be a very low probability chance. Anyway, Sui, I think I have it on my list here. Yeah, again, I'm never going to like a chart that, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I mean, this thing at least made significant. It was probably one of the biggest winners of this current bull market. I'm looking for something that's obvious here, though. Quarterly still above all major moving averages, but that does not look good to me. Yeah, monthly, I think that you could see a rally to open up this month of April, like 2.5 to 260-ish region. That doesn't do anything for you, though, but maybe that's a tradable event for you in the short term. We can see that there is some bullish divergence building over here as well. So, maybe it tries the bounce before anything else. But just like Bitcoin, just like most other things, I mean, this thing is in almost a full bearish posturing of all major moving averages. And generally, I'd be favoring another return closer to the lows after the short-term bounce. If the short-term bounce even happens, I mean, if I go over the 5-day time frame, then I would generally say, okay, I think that we've seen the high of the bounce already, and this thing's going to try back down around those March lows. But I don't think it's ready to break to new lows, to be honest. I can be wrong on this, of course, but it's testing essentially the last swing high that you saw from March of 2024. It's unlikely to break that on the first pass. So yeah. Anyways, Harry Krown. Plume USD, please. Sure, man. Let's try out Plume over here. Then we'll get back to Twitter, or to X. Some people don't like when you call it Twitter. Actually, very different here on the monthly already. Closing the last month green, where most things did not. Again, a very limited amount of history here, but hidden bullish divergence on what seems to be the next higher low. I would have to favor short-term upside, probably back around like 20-ish cents. Maybe it just continues on with the trend. I mean, this thing is one of the only things that we've seen today that's actually in an uptrend. So there's that. I would hold on to hopium here as long as you're above Sunday's low. I think the general direction is up. Yeah. Damn, just got here. What did I miss? Are we all dead? McDonald's time? We're all alive, but we actually can't even work at McDonald's because they hired a bunch of robots, so we're fucked. All right. What else we got? Did I do what? Kaz Inu? Gaze Inu? Gay, like G-A-Y? Inu? Can you fucking spell it in English, please?
G-A-Y-S.
Oh, gaze. Oh, it's the gay coin. Nice. All right. Well, let's get out. Kidding? I'm kidding. But this chart does deserve a nuke, okay? It really does deserve a nuke, all right? That has nothing to do with a hate crime or anything like that. Like, this chart it's the worst one that we've seen today, in fact. Wow. Doesn't get any worse than this, man. Have you ever seen an RSI that looks like this? It's stuck at 289 on a weekly. Wow. That's this thing is actually literally the worst thing I've ever seen. Here's it on log scale. Even on log scale, it looks just atrocious. It's very bad. What's up, Saj Tolan? Hopefully I'm saying that properly, man. Good morning to you. PP, we looked at that one earlier. I think even by your own request, sir. Let me see what's going on Twitter. Render for Ksang. Okay, RNDR. All right. Wow, we got over 200. Sorry, not over 200. Over 2,100 people on Twitter watching. Are you on Twitter, Elsa? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? What do you mean you don't know? Oh, okay. I see. Well, there are definitely comments there. It's just it moves a little bit weirder. Well, whatever. All right. Anyways, as far as render goes, like, I'll tell you what you already know. Daily, weekly, probably even the monthly are in downtrends. Yeah, monthly is in a downtrend as well. I do think you're more likely to open up this month on a bounce. This thing could easily trade up to like 4.25 to 4.5. Doesn't do anything for it. Quarterly, pretty ugly. I would be looking at any sort of move into the mid fours as probably a sell, to be honest. Does it bounce from here though, or does it come down first and then play out that bounce? That I don't know. Nobody knows. It's impossible to know. If I knew, well, probably have a time machine or some shit like that. But yeah, overall, if and when this thing does bounce during this quarter, I'd be looking for, I'd be looking for significant pushback at around $4.50 to $5, somewhere around there. So yeah. Let's see what else we got, baby. What else we got? We are 1 hour and 35 minutes into this. Oh shit, I forgot. I have a massage to get to in about 25 minutes. So maybe we go for another 10 minutes and then we shut it off. I guess I won't be eating potatoes before today. I fucking love potatoes, by the way. They're great. Anyways, Colonel Crypto says, how about BTBT? Okay. I think this is a new one for me. Maybe it's going to be amazing. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to be like everything else. It seems to be a real stock, and it is looking absolutely bad. Getting rejected at the exact area that you don't want to get rejected at, because this is really starting to look like a monthly, or sorry, not even a monthly, a quarterly local high on a lower high. At that point, yeah, I have to be looking for this thing to come back down first to the April 2024 lows, probably a small bounce there, and then I think that this thing comes closer to $1, which is a big fucking move. Yeah, pretty ugly, man. Hard to be bullish on a chart that looks like this, but there will be bounces. There's going to be bounces. Just, I mean, you're already building up some pretty significant bullish divergence here on the daily time frame. It's not going to take too much to get this thing on a bounce, but I don't think it's going to reverse, man. Potatoes or sweet potatoes? Actually, I've been eating both, but I've recently switched back on to regular potatoes, and I honestly do feel better with them. The sweet potatoes make me fart too much, and Elsa doesn't like it because I do it a lot in my sleep as well. It's good news, man. It's difficult to listen to you. I really love your content, but when the kids are walking around, you're swearing and teaching them bad habits. Oh, no. Okay, well, fair enough, man. You can always, it is what it is, man. You can try headphones, or just turning it off, man, because I'm probably not going to change that. But yeah. Anyways, just bought, guys. Expect a local top. Fair warning, says YB. It people this is a very common thing that a lot of people say. Like, whenever I buy, it's a local high. Whenever I sell, it's a local low. But how can that always be true? How can that always be true? All right. The Grateful Dive says, I hate to say it, but I feel like it's almost time to admit that the market and avoiding World War III might prefer a dementia. I see what you mean. Well, the market likes certainty, right? And right now there's a lot of uncertainty. You have geopolitical uncertainty between, major world powers. You got Russia, China, America, and Iran all fighting each other in basically a Cold War. And then you have and then you have Trump's tariffs and just crazy unhinged tweets that provides a lot of uncertainty. And when the market feels uncertain, it typically responds with downside. And that's why a lot of the time when you do get an event and like it actually has happened now, then it's typically the opposite reaction than what you would expect. I'm so tired of winning, boss. Can't take winning anymore. Time to lose, please. That's right. I actually, President Dementia or Dementia President, whatever you want to call him. It was nice because you don't have to pay attention to as much from at least that side of things, when he was in office. But I don't know, man. I think it's still like way too early to be judging Trump's presidency. I'm still pretty open-minded with this one. Definitely some things that he's done that I definitely don't like, and there's been a lot of things that he's done that I do like. So it is what it is, man. I guess we'll only know in hindsight. And how many times has there been a president that was looked at very poorly during his actual presidency, and then later on 10, 20, 50, 100 years after that, people loved him? I mean, shit, like we even just had one in my lifetime, George W. Bush. I remember people fucking hated this guy. Like, they hated him when he was president. But now when people see him, it's like, oh, there's good old George. Like, he looks like an everyday guy. He's just a chill guy. And he seems like he's generally, decently regarded now. So it's hard to say, man. It's hard to say what it will be. No, it's all good, crypto bro. I understand, man. I understand. I appreciate the feedback. I understand it's not going to be for kids. It is what it is, man. I can't filter myself in that way, and that's my own shortcoming, to be honest. Anyways, let's see what else we got. Must be close to top, says Verus and Numerous. Buying here too. We have a lot of people buying here. Like I said, trust me, my kid swears more than you. All right. Maybe good, maybe bad. Nobody knows. Yeah, let's see. I mean, here for Bitcoin, it's rallying up here at about 83.5. It is starting to look a lot more like this month is going to open up with a rally rather than open up with a short-term downside move. But that does make me bring back these statistics over here for the Bitcoin April lows. If you're going to be bullish, you expect the low early on within the month, like very early on within the month. And if we see Bitcoin making, new lows on price for the month of April after, even the 7th day of April, it's going to become significantly more likely that this thing is going to be a red month. But yeah, I guess if you're bullish, you're looking for Bitcoin to kind of put in a low very quickly here within the first week, and then move its way upwards and onwards. Maybe that's even the low right here. I mean, could very well be, I suppose, but I still hold on to the decent possibility that Bitcoin tries, like, even in the event that it's like massively bullish, I still think it probably tries closer to 80. But we shall see. I mean, we're going to find out this month. Like I said, if things are bullish, we really don't expect another boring month. We actually expect Bitcoin back above $90,000 by end of month. So, yeah. It's on a timer right now. Twitter doesn't capture real viewers, which is why the number doesn't go down. Oh, okay, I see. So this is just people who have joined in on Twitter, and then they might have left, but the number continues to just go up. Well, that's nice. It's good. It's good. it's really good for my self-esteem. But right now it says there's 2,200 people on Twitter. I'm gonna go with that. Anyways. Liv says you used to swear a lot more in your old videos. Yeah, it is quite mild now. I even slowed down my speech as well. That's really a function, though, of not ingesting 400 milligrams of caffeine every morning. Like, I didn't know how much coffee was normal to drink when I first started drinking coffee. So I just drink like 5-6 cups and, and then it's like rocket fuel. It's great. Now I realize you only need one. You only need one and all good. Anyways, Carbon says, and actually I think we'll end on this one as well. Can you look at ALCH, okay. ALCH, Alchemist AI. All right. It's got one narrative going for it, but I don't think that's going to be enough, man. Yeah, very difficult chart to be bullish on here. I'm bearish on the long term as long as it's below basically the last 5-day high of 9 cents. I think that this thing's putting a local high here and coming down. Yeah, daily momentum to the downside. Weekly, doesn't even populate. It's too new. 5-day, not enough history there. 3-day coming down. I'm a lot more inclined to say that this thing is putting in a local high here and coming back down, probably at least to these range lows, which is just under 5 cents. If things get a little more crazy, I'll be looking closer to here, 3.5 cents, I guess, but one before the next, obviously. Anyways, Jay Jun says, my first live, be here for a bit. Nice. I'm literally just thinking of ending, actually. I do have a few things to get to, but maybe I'll read a few more comments and then we'll sign it off. I have 9 Eric Krowns following me on X. Yeah, I know, man. It's really, really bad. I don't know how to deal with it, honestly. It's the same thing on Instagram as well. It used to be really bad. And it's really embarrassing too, because they'll message all my followers on Instagram. And most of my followers are just like people that I actually know in real life who don't even have a fucking clue of what I actually do. And so first, they probably don't even understand that it's a scam. And then second, they think it's like actually me. And then I get messages, dude, why are you asking me to invest in fucking derp coin all the time? I'm like, dude, it's not me. I promise. It's not me. Anyways, bro, is the Trump family going to make crypto a respectable business? I mean, I don't know. Like, they are making it more legitimized, I guess. What bothers me, though, is Trump giving out pardons to like these known scammers. That, fuck, if I'm going to talk about one thing that I don't like that he's done, that would certainly be, near the top of the list, if not the top of the list. But yeah. Matteo Peronacci, definitely Italian. Buongiorno, Dr. Krown. Good morning to you as well, sir. May I have some Euro USD action? Yeah, let's do this, and then we will sign off on this note, actually. Euro versus the Derper. Short term, I do think it plays out a bit of a pullback, 107.35 to 107 even. And I do think that you try for a bounce there. And I do think that this one will actually bounce into a reversal. That's just because I don't think that this thing's going to break down to new lows. I can be wrong about that, but what I feel quite confident on is that, yeah, short term you see a bit of a downside move, like 107-ish, and then try for an upside move. We're about to see momentum turn back onto the upside for the first time in a while. If it can close this month out, April above 105, which it is decently above right now. I mean, shit, if it came back down below 105, there's your obvious signal that this thing actually will break down, but I actually don't think that's going to happen here. Again, I reserve the right to be massively fucking wrong about this one, but yeah. All right, cool. Okay, I appreciate it, Edwin. I actually didn't know that, but yeah, it's good. I guess good for my own knowledge as well. Anyways, we'll be signing off on that note. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone joining on in for this live stream. We'll do another one on Friday. We'll also continue on with Twitter as well. So all good, fun times. As always, it was an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you on this nice little Tuesday